Hi guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie and I am your astrologer. Today is May 10th, but this is for the impending new moon that's going to be on May 11th, and that will be a new moon in Taurus. You notice it's a little bit different here, the sound, the lighting. I'm actually traveling right now and I have been staying in New Orleans, so you're probably going to either hear some rain, some partying, some cars. I don't even know. It's been like thunderstorms here for like the last couple of hours, and it was raining like crazy earlier, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait it out and start getting some of these videos out. So thank you for your patience. This came out a little bit later than I wanted it to, but that's okay. Better I guess almost late than never. But I'm really excited to chat with you guys about the new moon in Taurus, so let's go ahead and get into it and talk about what we can expect. As per my other lunar videos, if you wait until the end, you guys are going to see all of my predictions for each of the 12 signs, including a tarot card for each sign to give you some more extra insight into what you can be expecting for this new moon. So it's going to be taking place on May 11th, so that will be tomorrow at 11:59 a.m. Pacific time, 2:59 p.m. Eastern. And this is going to be a new moon in Taurus. So every, month we have a new moon. It's this meeting of the sun and the moon coming together and creating a new beginning, a new opportunity. And in Taurus, the moon loves to be in Taurus. It's exalted in Taurus, and it's very comfortable and luxurious and earthy, and really great for manifesting physical changes, right? So whether this is physical changes when it comes to your finances, to your investments, to what you're eating, to what you're buying, this can be a really great moon to really be focusing on some of those topics. Granted, it's going to manifest differently for each of the 12 signs. But if you happen to have a lot of Taurus placements, or especially if you're an Aries rising, this is going to be a very potent new moon for you. And new moons give us the opportunity to be able to bring the conscious and unconscious sides of ourselves together to create something, right? Because we think about the sun being our passion, our energy, our vitality. When the sun is moving through Taurus, we certainly start to look at what we have and what we value and what we need more of, right? Or self-care becomes like a huge focus and an emphasis, or really managing our banking and looking at our investments, or looking at what seeds we're actually planting, because this is a very fertile time. When we look at when the sun is in Taurus, the earth is in Scorpio. So this is a very transformative time. There are a lot of shifts that are taking place, and we're also fully immersed now in eclipse energy. Pretty much from this moment on, clear through June, there is going to be a great deal of change. I will do future videos on that, don't worry. I'll talk a little bit about those dates later in the video, but know that this is a new moon that's all about putting focus and emphasis on bringing you more security. And when we look at a new moon in Taurus, we also want to take a look at what's going on with Venus. And so I'll talk to you guys about all of the aspects and break that down one by one. Doing abundance magic, working with crystals, working with herbs, being able to focus on setting intentions revolving around where you want your money to be going, to be coming from, is a really great way to celebrate this moon. But Taurus overall is a fixed element, and it's an earth sign. And Taurus rules over money, possessions, abundance, fertility, desires, self-care, empowerment. And the fixed energy is very strong right now because we still do have Uranus in Taurus. We still have Jupiter in Aquarius for a couple more days, and Saturn is there as well. And I know you guys are waiting for that Jupiter video. I'm actually going to be filming that right after this one. So stay tuned. That's going to be coming out if you want to know how that's going to affect you. This particular moon is going to be hitting, like I said, at 11:59 a.m. or 2:59 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, check your time zones and adjust accordingly. It's going to be probably even earlier, different parts of the world. But what's so awesome about this new moon is I feel like there is a lot of action going on with the North Node. Venus has also just recently changed signs. It just moved out of Taurus and now it's moved into Gemini. So if we look at the chart, right, and we see all of these gangbusters of planets that are hovering in Taurus and also making their way into Gemini, all of these planets are going to, like I said, dance with the North Node. And so for Venus to be in Gemini, it puts a great deal of focus and emphasis on communication, how we're communicating and expressing our values, sharing of ideas, really seeing two sides of opportunities when it comes to love or romance or abundance. I see Venus in Gemini is very much falling in love with the mind, falling in love with how somebody communicates, writing love letters, expressing in that way. It's very kind of airy-fairy. But Venus at the time, it's at 3, so it is a Gemini degree. It's still in nice angle and aspect to Saturn. Technically, it's a pretty loose trine. It's a 10-degree trine, but I like seeing Venus in positive aspect to Saturn because it really talks about from this moment on and through the next couple of weeks, as Venus moves further through Gemini and it touches with the North Node, we're really putting our hearts and souls together and focusing on being able to express love or financial plans in a very solid and kind of practical way. Saturn supports with that trine and it really wants to help build into something that's going to be long lasting. So let's go through the aspects because there are quite a few, but just touching once more on Venus, Venus is also making a square. It's an out of sign square to Jupiter in Aquarius. So it's about a 5-degree square. Jupiter-Venus square is not really a bad thing. I think it could be overindulgence, right? It could be overspending, overeating, oversexing, like a little bit too much romance going on, a little bit too much investing going on, maybe eating some really rich foods. I could definitely see, especially with Venus and Gemini in a square to Jupiter and Aquarius, there being too many options or there's too much of something. Like when you look at what's going on with some of the markets right now, certainly there can be some stocks that are just like totally overbought or some situations where, everybody's kind of jumped in all at one time and we've seen prices of some things totally skyrocket. This may also be foreshadowing what may be coming is more issues with inflation. So this is not like a financial channel. This is just me reading the astrology and my interpretations of that. But, Venus square Jupiter overall, I feel like that's just over optimism, over confidence, and really kind of just jumping into something and just going all out. So definitely be careful when it comes to writing checks that you can cash, buying things that you really probably can't afford, or maybe jumping wholeheartedly into relationships or emotional or financial commitments that you feel like you may not be able to fulfill. That's the one thing that I would say. But overall, I don't really mind the Venus-Jupiter square. There is that square that's also going on between the sun and the moon and Jupiter as well. We've got Jupiter in the last degree of Aquarius, so that's like the party hard degree. I kind of see that as. And with the sun and moon in a square to that, it's really bringing up this like rigidity of unwilling to get out of our own way, or our inability to break out of patterns where we're super stuck and we're fixed and we don't want to move, right? Especially if you are a fixed sign or if you have fixed signs on any of your angles, you see where these Jupiter squares and even the next couple of days are really pushing us out of our comfort zone and asking us to focus more, like I said, on what we value. And I see it as needing to practice a lot of radical self-care. At 21 degrees, this is also about growth. And when I think about Taurus in general, that kind of April, May time is really great for planting seeds, starting a garden, maybe coming up with some ideas for how you want to kind of plan things financially for the rest of the year. But 21 promises that whatever you're setting intentions on this month in particular, it's a very abundant and fertile time 6 months into the future. So you want to be thinking more so long-term. Jupiter is like, or a Jupiter degree. This is a Jupiter degree. It is a Taurus new moon, but 21 I associate with Sag. So it's about, you know, what's the big picture? Like, where do I see my money going, you know, long term? What are my long-term financial goals? Where do I want to live long term? Where do I want to be buying land, or where do I want to be investing long term? These are some things that are going to come up with this new moon. So kind of, you know, aspect per aspect, from kind of top to bottom, the sun and moon in Taurus, they're making a sextile to Neptune in Pisces. And I really like that combination of earth and water together. I feel like Pisces is kind of like, you know, like the dream lender, especially with Neptune being there saying, hey, what's your dream? What's your vision? Having some really nice conversations with the sun and moon in Taurus, being able to build that, right? Like Pisces in a way can almost water the garden for whatever Taurus is working on right now. So there's a couple of different aspects in your chart that you want to look at. And I'll tell you, one is definitely you want to see that yummy angle, that sextile that's going on between Taurus and Pisces, that's supporting the dreams that you're laying the foundation for with this new moon. You also want to be looking at where Gemini is, because it's going to be the second to Taurus, and this is where all this energy is, and Venus is there. So really it's going to talk a little bit about how you're communicating those values, and through communicating those values, you're able to really kind of create this like long-term plan, and be able to engage with other people to help bring those beliefs or those investments or whatever it is to life. Mercury is in Gemini. It's been there for a little bit. It's happy there, and it's in a trine to Saturn in Aquarius, so very similar to that loose trine that we see with Venus and Saturn. When Mercury trines Saturn, we are very practical, logical. We communicate well. We take caution also. We don't just, you know, sign the lease, buy the house, you know, rent the car. Like, we don't do that immediately. And there's a lot of information that I think is coming about because the last 2 or 3 days, Mercury's been dancing with the North Node. And so as it, you know, builds during this new moon into a trine with Saturn, this is excellent for business negotiations. This is excellent for signing contracts. This is excellent for starting businesses. Many people are going to start drafting things, writing books, getting ready to go and seek publishing deals. Super amazing also if you are in any of these industries, if you're a writer, if you're an editor, if you're in radio, if you have a blog or a podcast. This can be a wonderful time to be like, I actually want to make money doing these things. So it can be great for people who are in that type of work and communications. Next, we have Mercury in Gemini making a sextile to Chiron and Aries. So what I like about this is that it's still kind of building off this energy from April, where there is this real focus and emphasis on self-healing, being very self-aware, being able to communicate where we have flaws on a personal level, or where we've been hurt, or where we have a wound that we need to deal with and we need to heal. And with that sextile for Mercury in Gemini, it's like sharing your story, or talking to other people, or taking to the internet and discussing maybe some issues that you've had and being of help and service to other people. It does help heal on a personal level. It does help heal on a global level. And I think it's really great for just being able to express something that you've had issues with recently. We've got Mercury conjunct the North Node, so that has been happening over the last 2 or 3 days. Certainly a lot of important conversations, things that people need to hear, revealing information, stuff that deals with technology, stuff that deals with travel, vehicles, anything that would come in the form of a text message, an email, a really important conversation. The last 2 or 3 days has just been filled with all of this stuff, and now it's kind of building into what will eventually be this eclipse that we're going to have next month in June. We've got Venus in a square to Jupiter in Aquarius, so we talked about that, like the overindulgence. We've got Mars in Cancer in a sextile to Uranus in Taurus, so moody Mars in Cancer, very emotional. That Mars energy works well though with Taurus because it's still very earth and water, but with the square that it's making, excuse me, not the square, the sextile that it's making to Uranus and Taurus, it's like, you know, Mars just wants to put the foot on the gas pedal. It wants to go, right? And what it's focusing on in Cancer is, well, where are we going emotionally? Where are we going in terms of our home? Many people may benefit from this energy where there is a sudden change in fate financially, where they can have huge upswings financially as a result of some of the planets that are in Taurus, which gives you the ability to relocate or afford a bigger home or move in with a family member. Uranus is always like unconventional and unexpected and different. So when it's in an aspect with Cancer, I see it as like many people are going to start seeing the benefit maybe of living with others, growing food with others, of putting their money together with others. And Mars and Uranus are just very sudden. They just move very quickly. Then we've got, let's see, Mars in Cancer is in a square to Chiron and Aries, so that's a little bit of an ouch, especially because Mars rules Aries, so it can be some people responding emotionally, being defensive. It can also result in people just being a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more moody and kind of touchy than usual. Especially when it comes to family dynamics with Mars in Cancer and Chiron in Aries. There can be this feeling for a lot of people that they're wanting to move out of emotional patterning that they have inherited from their family, or dysfunction or argumentativeness within the family. So I could definitely see where that square, although it's temporary, remember, a new moon is setting the stage for the next 30 days. So it's really kind of saying this is the energy that we're working with until we get to the next new moon. Then we've got Saturn in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. This has been a reoccurring square pretty much since February. It is getting stronger, guys. So remember when we had February and that pile up of planets in Aquarius, now we've got all these planets moving into Taurus. So like the physical change is happening. We are going to see that next exact square happen in mid-June. So we're building into that right now, but it's basically just new versus old, right? Like new ways of doing things, Uranus and Taurus, especially when it comes to new value, new forms of money. I mean, this whole crypto boom that's going on right now is as a result of this square. And Saturn wants us to be cautious and take our time and not rush into things, and it wants us to do things in an old-fashioned way. Even in Aquarius, which is unconventional. So I see this as this pressure that's building up through June where, you know, people want financial freedom, people want to go back to work again, people also are sick of isolation. Saturn in Aquarius, I see it as very isolating. So many people are going to be finally getting to the point where they're no longer willing to stay in their home. And then Jupiter is going to change signs. So I think we're going to see a big travel boom, but I've said that a couple times. Then we've got Saturn in a trine to the North Node in Gemini. So that's very supporting in terms of our destiny, especially as planets dance with the North Node, helping us see two sides of a situation. Gemini is a double-bodied sign. So it's about us learning how to communicate and have conversations and keeping an open mind and being willing to open up, I think, the dialogue to what we actually believe in, what is more fact-driven, right? Especially with Saturn in Aquarius. And then with the sextile that it's making to the South Node, it's helping us release all of these things that we no longer need, right? Sagittarius can be outdated philosophies and feelings that we know everything, or that we've been there or done that. And it's definitely going to bring out a clearing when it comes to changes, when it comes to our philosophies, our belief system, when it comes to, you know, cultural stuff. And lots of changes even, I think, with school and educational systems. So as a result of the pandemic, I think we've seen a lot change when it comes to education. And a lot of people have realized that you don't have to sit in a classroom, or you don't have to actually physically be in a college to be able to get your education. Granted, we've had online school for some time, and a lot of people have opted for that to be able to continue their higher education. But it's also led many people to kind of figure out what they really want to do, and whether that means that they do have a path to be an educator and to be a teacher, or if that means that they have decided to go back to school to learn something new. So there are some positive aspects from Saturn sextile the South Node. We've also got Uranus in conjunct the South Node. So Uranus and Taurus, you know, Taurus and Sagittarius notoriously have this friction, right? Anytime you have a planet in conjunct another planet or a placement, it basically brings out the most in both signs. So when we look at Taurus planets in conjunct something in Sag, the more that Taurus tries to push to create, you know, change, which isn't easy for Taurus, but the more that Taurus says, I have to hold on to this, the more Sag is going to just detach and kind of act like Sagittarians do. They need that freedom. They're going to push back. And they actually teach Taurus not to hold on to something for too long, especially if it's not serving them. So when we see Uranus in Taurus, which is like this change and a lot of like unconventional topics coming up when it comes to food, when it comes to money, when it comes to value, when it comes to pleasure, when it comes to romance, creating that in conjunct or that quincunx to the South Node, you're actively clearing something. Like Tauruses are actively clearing something about their belief systems and their values right now. So now that that in conjunct is like exact and it's gonna dance there for a little bit and then it'll retrograde back again over the next year, this is a pivotal time to actually release and let go of something, okay? So actually for Tauruses, it's gonna help you quite a bit. And then the last aspect that I have is just the loose trine that this new moon is making to Pluto. So anytime you have a trine to Pluto, it's power, it's transformation. It can be the darker side of having to let go of something, having to say goodbye to something, having to say goodbye to someone, but navigating fear and really learning that true power comes from being able to kind of like look certain situations in the face and go, okay, well, you know, this has to change. So some people, especially with some of these squares, might be experiencing kind of a situation in your life where staying the same is going to be more painful than actually creating that change. So if it's like you're afraid to separate with a partner, if you're afraid to relocate, take a new job, all of these things, Pluto is having a conversation with the sun and the moon, and it's saying, listen, you know, I will help you create change if you are willing to let go. So usually full moons are about releasing, right? But new moons are about manifesting. There is still some aspect to, I think, to this lunation that still says to me that something needs to be released and let go, right? Over the next couple days, guys, lots are happening with these transits that we're having to the North Node. So the last 2 days, Mercury's been on the North Node. You know, the moon is going to touch with the North Node on the morning of the 13th. And then Venus is going to come in touch with the North Node, which is important because the sun will still be in Taurus and it's still ruling the sun. And this is going to get kind of interesting. And this will be like the 16th through the 18th. That North Node conjunction is on the 17th. So I would recommend paying attention because Venus is about money, values, relationships. If you are a Taurus, if you are a Gemini, there's a lot going on when it comes to your money and your relationships. And then shortly after, the sun is going to start to ingress and it's going to move into Gemini. And it's really setting us up for getting ready for that eclipse that will be at the end of the month. And then also getting us ready for the next eclipse that's going to be in June. So just for the kind of useless, well, not so useless file, but so the full moon total lunar eclipse in Sagittarius will be on May 26th this month, and that will be followed by a solar eclipse in Gemini, and that will be on June 10th. That'll be next month. So I'll do videos on that. Don't worry about that. This is the part where we're going to get into how it's going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to tell you which house this is taking place in, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about the house where all of this stuff is going on in Gemini so you can really make the most of this new moon. Please listen for your sun, moon, and rising. I tell my clients the sun sign reading is going to really apply to you on a personal level, but the rising sign is actually what's going to tell you what's going to happen. So I would listen to the rising sign and then the sun sign. You can listen to the moon sign for your emotional shifts and changes. All right? Okay, so let's get into it. So for Aries, this new moon will be taking place in your second house of values, money, possessions, things that you physically have or hold. Great time to be setting intentions for abundance, bringing in more money, getting creative with how you can make more of it, or really getting your values in check and making sure that you're really, I think, practicing a lot of self-care, you're eating well, because the second house also can deal with food and what you're physically eating. Now, Venus is actually in your third house right now, so there's going to be a lot of action in the third house pretty soon. I could see this as like some Aries are thinking about making investments maybe in a vehicle. Some Aries might be doing some kind of trading online. There can be some aspect of you having to communicate a lot, or even help out a sibling or maybe a close family member, because the third house does rule aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, right? Ooh. All right. You got 3 cards. This is good. So you got the Queen of Pentacles coming up, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Strength card. Holy cow. First of all, hi, money. Queen of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles can be, you know, having to help a mother figure or a female figure. It can be you personally receiving something, you investing something, you buying something. It can also be talking about investing in a creative project, something that might be manifesting more so coming about closer to like July or August, because the Strength card is coming up. But it also talks about this strength, like this inner strength that comes from your value and your value system and investing in yourself. Whether this is being like, okay, I'm going to be better with what I'm eating, I'm going to take supplements, or really carving out time for personal care or your own personal financial plans. This can be a woman who can be older also, who can show up and help you or give to you in some way. It might be like a very generous gift or something that you get from someone. So that's very good for Aries. For Taurus, this new moon is in your first house. So it's about you recommitting to yourself, your body, how you feel. And it's also dancing with Venus in your second house. So there's a lot of conversations going on for Taurus right now about what they want to invest in. Having Gemini in your second house means you might have a couple different things going on investment-wise. You might have some things that are really bringing in the bacon, and you might have other things that you're wondering if you need to trim the fat. You'll be talking about that and looking at that a lot over the next 2 months. But because of the energy in your first house and second house, it's really putting your money where your mouth is. And if you really are investing in yourself and focusing on yourself, that may require you to actually spend a little bit of money because of Venus in your second. So if you're wanting to focus more on your physical health, it might mean that you go and make that investment and you go and get a trainer, or that you decide you're going to start eating organic, right? These kinds of things can come up. It can also be about media, digital tech stuff, because Taurus is putting so much focus right now on self-development and self-growth and empowerment. If you're somebody who's working online, if you're somebody who needs a new piece of equipment, maybe you need a new laptop, maybe you need to get a new camera, maybe you need some software or a new cell phone. At some point over the next 2 months, there is going to be an investment that you need to make to be able to better yourself. Interesting that the Hermit card comes up for you. So that's a sister sign. This is the card that's represented by Virgo. I see this for you as like you really needing to go and take time for yourself to like not be alone, but you know, the Hermit like needs to go on his own path. He needs to go on his own adventure to be able to turn inward and really reflect on, well, what do I want? What do I need? Who am I becoming? Do I like the person that I'm becoming? Do I need to make changes? What do I value? During this new moon, take time to be alone and to really reflect on that. It can be a great time for you to also set intentions by lighting a candle or working with that, because you know the Hermit has his little lantern. For Gemini, this new moon's taking place in your 12th house, so it can be more, what's the word? You might want to be alone a little bit more. You might feel like you need more downtime. You might be more tired than usual. You might need more space than usual. You might need to rest. This can also be a time where there's like some kind of spiritual healing that's happening. So if you're wanting to maybe take time to go on a retreat or take a couple days to just meditate more, maybe find a new spiritual practitioner or do some kind of emotional healing, it can be a wonderful time for that with a new moon in Taurus. Now it's playing very nicely with Venus in your first house. So Venus on your ascendant or in your first house is really great for making changes with your appearance and like kind of updating your style, maybe your look, your makeup, your wardrobe. But with planets in your 12th house, really what that's saying is that you have to get right with the self-love before it really starts physically manifesting. I could see how some Geminis are having lots of changes going on physically with how they look, but they're still wanting to be like, is this me? Like, I'm changing my style again, and like now I'm going to a completely different style, or now I'm living in a completely different place, and having a bit of an identity crisis. Okay, I shuffled the deck a couple times. It's kind of crazy. Same two cards came up, the Ace of Coins and the Queen of Coins. I see that as, once again, still abundance coming in, new things coming in. It can be about you making a physical change or an investment to your appearance. And if it's something that you need to do, please do that, because I feel like it's going to pay off for you. There's about to be a lot of eyes on you soon, Gemini. Okay, Jupiter's going into your 10th house. You gotta play the part. Queen of Coins. There is a Queen of Coins that's going and sprinkling abundance to a couple of the signs this month, obviously. I love it when the tarot does that. It's so sassy. All right, so Cancer, this is a new moon taking place in your 11th house, which is great for your goals. It's great for wish fulfillment. It's great for socializing, friends. It can be you working on a project with a friend. It can be you setting intentions just to be more active socially. It's working very well with Venus in your 12th. Be careful here, Cancer, because there can be kind of like a haziness when it comes to like situationships where you don't know where you stand, if you're friends or if there's something more going on. You may have a friend that's going through some challenges in a relationship and like they need you. There can also be like secret hidden feelings going on behind the scenes that you might have for somebody, or kind of feeling like somebody doesn't know how you feel about them. It's not bad energy. Venus in the 12th is good for bedroom pleasures, so there can definitely be a lot of sexy things going on. Page of Wands is coming up for you, so I see this as being more playful, being more creative, like working on things behind the scenes, going and having fun, being active. It can be with a younger person, it can be with a fire sign. I really feel like for you, it's like creative. Like a lot of Cancers are really getting into working with friends on projects or filming things or getting into photography and stuff like that. You're working behind the scenes this month. There's a lot of energy with Mars in your sign, but it's going to take a little time for some of this stuff to like really be seen. So that's coming in the next couple of weeks and months ahead. For Leo, this new moon's in your 10th house. Wonderful for setting new intentions when it comes to your career, starting a new job, changing jobs, having a new boss, launching a business, right? Although be mindful, we're getting ready. We're coming into Mercury retrograde at the end of the month. So if you are going to be doing that, start setting those intentions now, or do it just after the eclipse and the retrograde next month. And then Venus is in your 11th, so it could be wonderful for working with groups. It can be wonderful for celebrating things with friends, getting recognition at work for a job well done. The Star card. So this is interesting because, you know, for you, this rules your 7th house. I mean, this is about wishes. This is about healing. This is about kind of the calm after the storm. And certainly, especially Leo risings have really been kind of getting hit from all these angles. But this is putting a lot of focus and attention on your 7th house. So it can be talking about still building relationships, and not always necessarily just romantic, but building relationships with people at work, being able to like really do some like team building exercises, or kind of like getting everybody riled up and really being able to shine. And yeah, that's the Star card. You're shining at work. All right, so then for Virgo, this is a new moon in your 9th house. Very lovely because this is a sister sign, so you're going to have some yummy earth trines going on here. 9th house new moon can be a renewal of your beliefs, right? It can also be an opportunity to commit to learning something new, an opportunity to commit to going on a trip. It's kind of in Taurus, you know, it's like, am I going to invest in going and getting that master's degree? You know, do I need to go further? Am I actually going to buy the plane ticket, right? All of these things that deal with what you physically have. So if education is important, if you feel like that investment is very important, around the time of this new moon, you might realize that, you might figure that out. And you've also got Venus that's hanging out in your 10th house. So, you know, maybe work can help you pay for it. Maybe a raise will help you pay for it. Maybe a boss or somebody wants to mentor you and they want to give you something that's very valuable when it comes to what you're learning, right? The card that jumped out was the Knight of Cups. So I feel like for you, yes, it can be dealing with a water sign. It can be that a water sign comes into your life and they get you really emotionally charged and somebody really changes the way that you look at relationships or the way that you're feeling. You might be feeling a little bit more romantic than usual. But I see this as you being really passionate about something. And if you're really passionate about going somewhere, he is on a horse. If you're really passionate about going and meeting somebody at a distance or going and visiting a place, go. Set that intention around the time of the new moon. All right, for Libra, this is a new moon in your 8th house. You've got Venus in your 9th. For Libra, this 8th house new moon is about detoxification. It's about purging. It's about clearing, setting intentions that deal with transformation, being okay, making change, and really kind of shifting how you view change and not letting change be something that's scary. It can be a really great time also to be looking at making investments or talking to your partner about what you're investing in or how you want to make money. It's really great also for sexual stuff, intimacy, going a little bit deeper with a partner. And then you've got Venus in the 9th house. And so that can be transformation through traveling or through a trip. That can definitely happen. The Hermit card. To me, that's interesting because it is playing with your 12th house. So it is saying like chapters are closing, like you are clearing something actively. There is some focus and emphasis also because this is a card that deals with Mercury. To pay attention to the Mercury transits in your 9th house. If you want to learn something new, maybe you're kind of feeling like you want to invest in something and that the investment might be education, the investment might be travel. It might be that you're just changing and you're kind of going through like an incubation period. What I will tell you is that for an 8th house new moon, it's also about kind of like looking at all the skeletons in the closet and seeing like what you're afraid of acknowledging or dealing with. Two of Swords. So it's also about making a financial decision and feeling like, okay, like what am I going to do? Give it a couple days for this to shake out. Know that even if you're having to address spending or budgeting issues or tax issues or joint financial issues, like this is a very powerful time and you'll be glad that you dealt with this now because in 6 months' time, financially, you should be even stronger. For Scorpio, this is your 7th house. You have Venus in your 8th house. I feel like Scorpio is probably going to benefit the most of the signs from this, maybe next to Taurus. This is going to be a lot of change for Scorpio. So when you have a 7th house new moon, it's like hitting the reset button on your relationships, right? And being able to say, okay, this is what I value. It is challenging because Uranus has been there. So many Scorpios and Scorpio risings have had sudden twists and turns and changes with relationships as a result of that Uranus transit. But with the new moon there, many Scorpios are going to have a very welcomed, refreshing, I think, period of time in relationships. And it's a great time to enter into new relationships. It's a great time to get back out there and start dating if you are single. If you were partnered, what you'll find with Venus in your 8th house is it's just a sexy time. Like it's a really nice time to get closer to your partner. It's a really nice time to receive gifts. And Venus in the 8th in Gemini is talking more and going deeper into intimacy, and being able to talk more about intimacy with your partner. Knight of Cups, again. So definitely for Scorpios, it's about being able to like be a little bit more comfortable wearing your heart on your sleeve. That's how I see it. Yeah, and like letting go of that anxiety of being vulnerable. So 9 of Swords. But all in all, that's a really great transit for you to be having. All right, so for Sagittarius, this is a new moon taking place in your 6th house. It is new opportunities for changing your day-to-day routine. It can be a new focus and an emphasis on getting your workspace organized, new health goals, what you're eating. I could see that being part of it, changes in your schedule. I also feel like this is for some Sagittarius, like trying to get to the point where work is consistent enough so you can travel more, you can have more free time to do what you want to do, right? 6th house is also dealing with coworkers. It can also be dealing with pets. So it's a great time to like get everything organized, like clear stuff out, get things clean, whether it's at home or in your workspace, or cleaning up your diet, or setting making new appointments to go and see your health practitioners. And for you, you've got, Venus that's in your 7th. So there can be love at the workplace. You can be meeting people romantically through work. There can be some aspect of you feeling like you want to like kind of up your health goals and like make more time for love or make more time for relationships. 8 of Coins. So I see that as you focusing more on work, working more on your trade, perfecting your trade. You might have a new job that you want to launch. You might have a new business that you want to work on. There's some aspect of you like really perfecting what you've been doing. And I see that as being something that is going to bring you more money. Queen of Coins keeps coming up. She keeps coming up. Sag, this is going to be really good for your health also. So that looks good. For Capricorn, this is a new moon in your 5th house. Venus is in your 6th. For Capricorns, the new moon in the 5th house is very, very, very fertile. So it's a time where if you want to launch a new business, or there's some new creative thing or some new hobby that you want to start, I would say don't focus on going all out now. It's about letting this new energy of the new moon bring it in. And Taurus already is very fertile, but for you to have a new moon in the 5th house, a lot of Capricorns are going to be focusing on fertility, pregnancy. They might find out they're pregnant. They might decide they want to get pregnant. There might be more focus and emphasis on a child or younger people or children. If that's not the case, then it'll be more so about your romantic life, your love life. It's about passion and falling in love. And the 5th house can also be great for people who are self-employed or people who are creatives and artists. And with Uranus tearing through that house, I really feel like you have the opportunity to be different and unconventional with how you go about making money. And a lot of Capricorns are realizing there's a very creative side to them, and they're not willing to stick to like the rigid routine anymore. New lovers can appear with the new moon here with Uranus, and there can be opportunities for you just to have like kind of fun, unexpected shakeups in your love life. 3 of Coins. So I see this as you steadily still working towards your goals. There might be something that you've been working on recently, and now you're going to really start seeing the fruits of your labor, especially over the next 3 months, taking place between now and about August. I still see the Strength card, though, is about you kind of opening your heart and being more heart-centered. It can be really great for people who are doing like lots of like inner child work, or maybe you're doing work that's more about self-expression, and so you have to keep doing that work, keep pushing through, keep doing that work, and have fun. The 5th house is about having fun. For Aquarius, this is taking place in your 4th house of home. So new intentions revolving around where you live, how you feel, what's going on with your family, if you want to move, if you want to relocate, if you want to sell a house, things like that. Venus is currently in your 5th. So keep in mind that going into the next month or so, there will be a retrograde and an eclipse there. So for many Aquarians, they're going to be focusing more on their emotions and how where they're living makes them feel. If you have children, it's if you have enough space in your house for kids. Maybe a baby's coming and you're like, oh my God, we don't have enough space. 8 of Wands comes up. So quick, swift moving energy. Many of you are going to suddenly decide to move. Many of you are going to suddenly decide that, you know what, there's a new family member and we need more space, or we need to rearrange the house a little bit better. So just prepare for that. Venus in your 5th house also can be really fun for having fun, playing games, hanging out with kids, hanging out with younger people, getting to know your neighbors, working on things creatively that you're writing also. If you have like a passion project where you have a blog or a podcast, it can be quite successful in the next couple of weeks. If you do want to move, then set the intentions around the time of the new moon, but I would say give it till closer to the end of June or maybe July. So it's a great time to start looking. Also with, Saturn being on your ascendant and, Uranus being in your 4th house, some of you guys have moved several times, or you find that you're at odds with people that you're living with and you want more personal space. If that's the case, realize that everything is like really trying to push you to go into a different kind of location. And I've heard from a lot of Aquarians that they want to be closer to nature, or that they want to go and buy land, or they want to go and like live with a group of people and they want to share resources. So that could come up for you as well. And for Pisces, this is your 3rd house, and it's about communication, it's about contracts, vehicles, how you express yourself to other people. It can involve siblings. And you've got Venus in the 4th. So for there to be a new moon in the 3rd and Venus and a bunch of retrogrades in the 4th coming, that can also be bringing up a situation where a sibling needs help moving, maybe a neighbor needs help moving. You might be looking in new neighborhoods if you're going to move. There might be more of a focus and an emphasis on you building an online presence and trying to make money online. It can also deal with, like I said, a new vehicle. Now, if you want to get out of town, set intentions to be able to take like a short road trip for a couple days, you can do that as well as a result of this new moon, especially if you want to go and look at other areas that you're not familiar with. You may spend a lot more time in the car around the time of this new moon, or be traveling somewhere, or just be busier with phone calls, kind of talking to people. A lot of people can be calling and emailing you and texting you, and there's important conversations that are going to be had either with a family member or like with somebody that you're close to. Ace of Wands is the card that jumped out. So that talks about swift moving action. Ace of Wands is a new beginning creatively, whether this is like something that you're really passionate about or a new project. It can be like a new kind of sexual kind of love affair. It's really like putting a fire underneath you and trying to get you to be more passionate and really sticking to how, like expressing yourself better when it comes to how you feel. I see Taurus in the 3rd house is like needing to really focus on practicing mantras and having a regular routine where you're speaking kindly to yourself and you're really kind of building up that self-love. And the more that you're sticking to your guns with that, the more that you're going to see this kind of blossom and manifest as having a more solid emotional base or a solid home space, or needing to have conversations with family members that just need to be had. All in all, it was pretty, actually great cards for all the signs. I'm quite excited to see how this manifests for you guys, and I appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with me today. I will be back shortly with that Jupiter in Pisces video and talk a little bit about my view on Jupiter in Pisces, and I'll also talk about how it's going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. I should be back probably in like a week or two. I'll be back home, so I'll go back to my usual filming. So thanks for bearing with me with this different environment. And if you like my reading style and you would like to book a personal reading with me, whether it's tarot or astrology, you may do so by checking out my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. All of my links are listed below. You can go and support my work as well. And yeah, I'm glad to be able to come and get here just in time. So if you guys have any comments, please leave them below. I always appreciate your likes and your shares and your subscriptions. Until next time, I'll see all of you guys very soon. Stay well and enjoy this very abundant new moon.